Good morning. I'm Mark Allen with Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Matthew Watts, the CTO and co-founder of Lendflow. Good morning, Matthew. How you doing?
Good morning, Mark. Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. And do you prefer Matt or Matthew?
Matthew is fine.
Okay, my son's name is Matthew, by the way, so it's near and dear to my heart. So to start with, can you share a brief description of yourself and your work history?
Yeah, so my work history ultimately has been primarily inside of the financial space. I worked for a procurement company prior to Lendflow called SpendHQ, and they solved problems for a lot of big SMEs, larger corporations as well, when it came to any kind of data or financial pipeline analytics that they needed to answer. So after that, I then joined forces with Lendflow, and it's been going on now for about a year and a half.
Interesting. So, and you joined Lendflow as it was starting, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I was probably employee number 3 or 4. So very early.
So interesting name. So tell us what Lendflow does, who your target audience is, and what you do for them.
Totally. So Lendflow is like the eBay of the financial space. So ultimately, we're a marketplace where we match ultimately requests for capital to suitable lenders in the space. And so everything's tailored to all of our customers' needs. We offer a white labeled solution so that companies can ultimately run these capital programs in the system without having to give away who the engine belongs to. In addition to, we provide open APIs to financial institutions to help enrich their underwriting process.
Interesting. So you have multiple potential customers, correct?
Correct. We do. We have multiple potential customers, and as I'm sure you can imagine, growing pretty quickly, pretty fast.
I would imagine, and I'm sure there's probably no shortage of people looking for capital right now. True?
That's correct. There was a little decrease during COVID, the very beginning. Some financial institutions were a little bit hesitant to give out money, but since then that's changed dramatically. Yeah.
It actually seems like, there was that initial scare where no one knew what was going to happen, and then there was this pent up supply, and it's like, okay, we're going to survive this. Where do we put our money, right?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So it's changed a lot, but I think COVID's really kind of pushed a lot of people to apply for more capital, and that's what we've seen within the system.
Well, and I think the other thing that COVID did was a lot of people thought in order to start a company, you had to be in New York or San Francisco or a big center and have a really nice office, and that all went away, correct?
That's right. I mean, that's how we're based as well. We have a fully remote team. We have multiple engineering teams in multiple different countries, which really help contribute to allowing us to progress as a company. We leverage models like the follow the sun model to really help us have a true 24-hour development process within the life cycle there. So it's really helped us as a company to grow and to really deploy features that our customers are looking for. Yep.
So I have to ask, so you're building this company that helps companies get funding. Did you use your product to get yourself funding?
Yeah, so I think ultimately we didn't use our own product. We were part of YC, so the Y Combinator. So one of their investment batches last year for the winter. And after that, we then proceeded to get a few seed rounds of funding. So very similar process, I think, to most companies take. We were a much bigger entity than most of the SMEs that we serve. So we had to go through different processes. Yeah.
Interesting. But since you went through all that, you actually knew the pain points for both sides, right?
Correct. And both myself and the other founder, John, we both come from that small business. And we both knew the challenges associated with getting capital to operate your business. And so, what we wanted to do is just change that for the better. And what we're trying to do is really bring that time down that it takes for the businesses to get that capital.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you started your business, literally right at the start of the pandemic. So did that cause any challenges that you didn't quite expect?
The main challenges were, I think, at the time was really adoption. I think, like you said, a lot of people were really hesitant And so I think it was challenging in the beginning, but then as things picked up, we noticed a huge increase in not only the partners that we were onboarding, but also the lenders as well. So I think at the beginning, definitely challenging, the same kind of challenges most startups have, which is defining your product and then execution. So I think, it was definitely challenging in the beginning, for sure.
And how about recruiting? Was that a challenge for you? Because I mean, you said you're in Seattle.
That's right.
You have development in other parts of the world. Do you like take anybody from anywhere, or do you try to keep a bit like having hubs of developers?
And so ultimately, we're an agile shop, so we have very small teams of specialized developers. And so the biggest challenge for us is really finding the right technical talent. We're less concerned about location. We're less concerned about any of the other physical restraints that typically you would have been before COVID, and more about finding the right candidates. And so we have a series of assessments that we use to determine if the candidates are a good fit, from a culture standpoint, but also from a technical assessment standpoint. And we leverage that to really onboard the very best talent we can find.
Interesting. And do you think that, that approach that you literally have the world to pull from, that has helped you grow faster?
I think it has, most definitely. I think the majority of the talent we're still targeting is in the US, just because of time zones. So I think we can never get rid of that restriction. But ultimately, yeah, I think it's definitely helped widen the net. Instead of looking in a specific location, we can now cast our net throughout the whole of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and generally there's 3 to 4 I mean, most people like there's Hawaii, but generally those 4 main time zones are what. Generally, there's enough overlap that there's time for communication between the different groups, correct?
100%, yeah. So we have quite a few team members on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. We work it pretty well. Typically, by the time it hits 2 o'clock, they're wrapping up for the day. But that's plenty of time for us to collaborate in any way we need to. Yeah.
Yeah, and going forward, because we were coming out of the pandemic. Now it seems like we're going back in, but eventually we will come out of it. Do you foresee that you're going to have an office, or do you think you're going to keep this model where you're just going to let people work remotely for forever?
From the technology standpoint, yes, we've always been a remote shop, and we always will be. I think it doesn't really make much sense for us to force people to come into an office, or even we offer them the opportunity to fly to Austin, which is where our headquarters are. But I don't think mandating going into an office is the right fit for us, especially with the growth. I mean, we're hiring quite fast. I mean, we're at 68 people already. So in a year and a half, so we're moving pretty quickly. And ultimately, from the tech side, no. From the sales side, I think there's a value in the collaboration in person. So I think we do have that option available for our sales team. But from the tech side, we'll always be truly remote. Yep.
Wow. So you've hired 68 people in a year and a half. That's
fast. Yeah.
And that's a lot of interviewing. Yeah. Right?
That's right. Lots and lots and lots. Yeah, it's been super challenging. It just, especially those first employees as they come into the company, it's super, super important for them to be the right fit, because they're then going to be responsible for hiring everyone underneath them. So if you get those first 50 to 100 hires right, then everything else should hopefully fall into place. But it has been challenging. Yep.
Yes, it is. And it sounds like you're going to be hiring even more going forward. Is that correct?
That's right. We're looking to. So right now, the whole technical side of the business is around 18 people. We're probably looking by the end of this year to bring on another 5 to 6 developers. So hopefully, hopefully continuing that trend.
Interesting. Wow. I mean, that's actually quite impressive. When you think about it, because and you're right. That core group can make or break a company. So it's really important. It sounds like you did a good job of your initial hires.
Yeah, we have some amazing people working with us. I'm really, really grateful, and it's amazing to be part of such a team that's so passionate about the mission, which is also a fantastic ad. But yeah, we have a highly collaborative environment, and that's from working at multiple different companies in the past has really helped me understand what is really important in working in a team.
And it's interesting. I mean, you'd be considered in the fintech industry, I'm assuming, which has historically been a very slow industry to change.
Yeah.
So, and you basically have turned that on its head and say, hey, the heck with the old way, the 9 to 5, we're just going to build a company this way. So that is even more impressive. And do you find you've had any pushback on that? Because you probably need some people with fintech skills.
We do. We've had pushback. I mean, a lot of the processes that the financial industry uses are very antiquated. So
Yeah.
we've had to kind of help coach certain partners in a new way of thinking about things. So yeah, that's been a challenge. But I think ultimately, in the long run, it's going to really help us. Help businesses ultimately get faster access to the money they need to grow. Because as a company, there's not really much point saying, oh, I need $200,000, but the bank can't give it to you for 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of their underwriting processes. So we're just trying to speed that process up, and leveraging the models that we have and the bank's models to try and get to that point.
Interesting. Since you're saying models, I'm assuming there's some artificial intelligence involved in this.
There's some, and there's also statistical models as well. Yeah, so there's a bit of both. It's a matter of just leveraging the data that we have to make much better decisions, much faster. And that's the core of our business. Because at the end of the day, we are a data company. Yep.
Yeah, and data is king, as we know, and right. The more data you have, the better decisions you can make. So where do you foresee Lendflow going in the future? Do you think you're just going to continue on this model and continue to add lenders and partners?
Yeah, we're going to continue on this model. We'll probably branch out and internationalize at some point. We're probably going to look at moving into Canada, Australia, maybe even Great Britain eventually. But the main focus for us is really reducing that time frame that it takes from an application of capital to actually receiving the capital. And working with multiple different risk tier of lenders that we have really allows us to place the application in the right spot for a much faster execution. So that's our goal. Myself and John, the other founder, that's really been the forefront of what we're trying to achieve at Lendflow, is really helping fix that gap.
Help the flow. There we go. So
the flow.
Well, Matthew, it's been great talking to you. It sounds like a great product. I've done over 300 podcasts, so I have a feeling you and I might have some good referrals for you, because there's a lot of companies that I know out there that are looking for capital. So we should probably keep in touch.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, Mark.
And it is. So have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.
You too. Thank you, Mark.
Bye.